Hello and welcome to Five Writers, 5 Minutes, where five kids writers talk writing craft. And today we're thrilled to be joined by Nathan Luff. My name's Sarah Armstrong.
I'm Zanny Louise.
I'm Nathan Luff.
I'm Deborah Abella.
And I'm Leanne Tanner.
And today the five of us are going to dig down into opening lines. How do we, each of us, approach opening lines? What do we think makes a really ripper opening line? We all know, because we're all readers, all of us and all of you, that opening lines are so important to grab the reader's attention. I mean, I think it applies to a first page and perhaps even a first chapter, but if there's an opening line that just grabs you, it just takes you along for the ride of the story, doesn't it? So for me, when I'm thinking about an opening line, I'm thinking about raising a question in the reader's mind. I want to raise a question that they want answered. That's my main goal. For instance, in Big Magic, the opening sentence is, "The day my mother disappears, the sky's the most dazzling blue I've ever seen it." So immediately there, ideally, there's a question in the reader's mind, oh, how did that person's mother disappear? I didn't write that first opening line, though, straight away. I didn't write it probably until about my second draft. And I think it's really good not to put pressure on yourself to write that ripper opening line straight up in your first draft. It's often the thing that will come to you later down the track. So yeah, that's how I approach opening lines. And I think that it's later where you can weave lots and lots of extra info into those opening lines, because you've got to achieve so much on that first page. What about you, Zanny?
Yeah, I think mine's fairly intuitive. It's not always a conscious, process as to how to start. I think because my middle grade books particularly are quite voicey, and they're written in the first person, it's really about finding the character's voice. And for me, because the stories are quite character driven, it is usually the character's voice which leads the story. So it's kind of like I hear it in my head, and then that's just how I know where to begin. So with the Cora scene in her book, it starts with her talking into a mirror, and she's talking to herself in the third person. So it's a little bit meta. So she starts with, "Meet Cora 2.0. She looks a lot like the old Cora, but this Cora wears secondhand Doc Martens." And that just kind of came to me, and that gave me so much information about the character and about how she saw herself, how she engages as a narrator as well. So I kind of just follow that in. But I totally hear what you're saying, Sarah, that it's all about grabbing the reader's attention. But it was an interesting process with this one, because I came back in my second and third draft, actually wrote another first chapter. And because of you guys and your feedback, particularly Leanne said to me, no, bring back Cora, Meet Cora 2.0. Yeah. I really like that opening. So I think sometimes your first instinct is often a good one, for me anyway. So yeah, how about you, Nathan? How does it work for you?
Well, I've been doing a lot of teaching of first lines in schools lately, and there seems to be in so many schools they're teaching almost a formula to writing, and that includes having a sizzling start at the start of your stories. So then when you read all of these stories from kids, they all sound the same. They all start with this onomatopoeia and then something dramatic happening. So what I do with kids is we take all of the first lines. I've got a whole bunch of first lines from really popular books, and we look at them. They've got to guess what the book is, but then we look at them and say, well, is it a sizzling start? Like, what is this start? And the thing that unites them is not a sizzling start. It's usually the intrigue. So do you want to read the second line, ultimately? And so I think that was a really fun way of looking at how different books do it. For me personally, my style is, firstly, I always start with action. And I think for me, it's about anchoring the reader into the story so they can picture what's happening, so straight away. And then just like you, Sarah, it's about the intrigue, so giving them a what, why, or how question. So I will share one as well. So the start of Bad Grammar starts with, "I dump my school bag, fly up the stairs, and burrow into my messy cave of the bedroom, ready to deal with the dragon."
So many questions. It's great.
I love that. You've covered so much, all of you so far. So yeah, you want that intrigue. You want your readers to go, what is going on here? Voice, so important, Zanny. But also you kind of want to set the tone for a novel, and you're kind of making a promise to your reader, I think. I see it like that. I see that this is my contract with my reader. I am going to give you this, hopefully, knockout first line, and I'm going to try and follow that up for the rest of the book, right? I'm going to try and make it as exciting as that. So my first line in Grimsden, I swear, we talk about rewriting books with kids, and you know how many drafts we have to do. I think I rewrote this first line 50 times, and I think I rewrote it just before the book went to print. I thought, aha, I've got it. And so, of course, now that I've built it up, and you know, you might go, really? It took you 50 to get that? So, chapter 1. Xavier knew what he was about to do might cost him his life. But there was something about Isabella, the way she moved, the way she held a knife, that made it impossible for him to back out now. So I want to introduce character. I want them to ask questions. Who are these kids? Why is she good with a knife? Why is this other kid intrigued with her? Like, I want to set up that if you think that opening line is good, I promise you I will deliver for the rest.
Yeah, look, I think everybody's pretty much said what I want to say. You know, I want the opening lines to grab me. I want them to make me keep reading. But most of all, I want them, like you said, Deb, I want them to give me a sense of what the book is going to be like. And I think about the opening lines of a book as like a map that tells you what's coming. It's not like a really detailed map, you know, it's not going to tell you everything at once, but it's going to give you the feel of the story, and it's going to, and it says, is this going to be an adventure, or is it going to be a funny story, or is it going to be a rom-com, or what? Of my first lines, I still think that some of the best first lines I've ever written are from Museum of Thieves, and it starts off like this. Goldie Roth hated the punishment chains. She hated them more than anything, except perhaps for the blessed guardians. As the heavy brass cuffs snapped around her wrists, and the weight of the chains fell on her shoulders, she stared sullenly at the cobblestones. So, you know, again, right into the story, and why is this girl wearing punishment chains, and who are the blessed guardians, and all those sorts of questions. So
Brilliant.
Oh, so good. Yep, 100% agree with everything you've all said. And I think voice is absolutely key. And I think it's something I like to work on even more, like I want to work on even more. And that brings to mind the first line of Percy Jackson, which is, look, I didn't want to be half-blood. You know, like such a great opening line. It's
So
like
casual.
you know, you've got the voice just in however many words that is immediate. Thanks, everyone. I hope that's helpful for those of you listening or watching. We're 5 Writers, 5 Minutes, and we'll be back with another episode soon. See you later.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.